Welcome, and thank you for your interest in learning more about the new online system you'll be using to apply for your Keystone STARS designation. The first step is to log into your registered organization profile. You may already have registered your profile with the registry, but if you haven't, there are tip sheets and helpful staff at the PA Keys who are ready to help you. For the purpose of our time together today, I'll be pretending to be Sonia. Sonia is the director of a Child's View childcare program. You can see here an image example of what the organization profile looks like at the beginning. You can see there's a unique number here. That's your organization number and the name of your program, A Child's View. Let's take a deeper look. When your program is eligible to apply for a Keystone STARS designation, and you've logged into your organizational profile, you'll see all these tabs across the top of your organizational profile. What we want to highlight here is where the big blue arrow is pointing to Keystone STARS. That's the tab that you will click to access your application for Keystone STARS. While we're looking at this image of all the tabs in your organizational account, I wanted to point out with this little arrow, the Document Vault tab. We're going to talk more about that later in this session, but I wanted to highlight it as a visual example for you to refer to in your mind's eye when we start that discussion. For now, let's go ahead and get started and see what happens when we click the Keystone STARS tab. Clicking the Keystone STARS tab will take you to your own quality dashboard. This is where you'll see your ability to apply for Keystone STARS. You'll also see whatever your current rating is right now, because this is pretend data in our test system that we're showing you. You can see that this program currently has no rating. We know that that would be unusual for you because by being certified, you would automatically have a 1-star rating. Whatever your program's rating is, it will show accurately in that box in your organization profile. So you'll begin by clicking the Apply button for Keystone STARS. When the button is blue like this, and you're able to click it, it's active. That indicates that you're eligible to apply. If the button is grayed out, and when you click it, you're not able to access the application, that's a clue that for some reason your program is currently ineligible to submit a new application. That's a great time to reach out to your local Early Learning Resource Center, and the phone number is going to be right there for you for easy access. Let's work through what your application looks like. So the image we're looking at here is in your organization profile. When you click the Apply button, you'll gain access to the rating application. You can see here it's broken down into different categories. And what's really important about the application is that it's flexible. You can start work on it at any time. You can save and exit, and then return back to finish it when it's convenient for you. Don't have to work your way from top to bottom. Sometimes you might have some information handy and be able to fill out one section like classrooms, but then maybe you need a little extra time to gather some information for another section and complete that. Totally okay. We know the lives of providers are very busy and there are many demands on you. So making sure that you have the time and flexibility you need to gather everything for your application is very important. All right, let's take a look at these kind of visual indicators over here. One of the things that you'll notice throughout the system is that consistency is key. And we use kind of a green, yellow, red system, kind of like a traffic light. So there is a lot of information that's already going to be in your organizational profile in the registry that your application is going to pull and pre-populate for you. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for you, so we don't ever want to ask you for the same information twice. So for example, information about licensing, like your MPI number, information that you've put in your org profile around accreditation, general information like your address and things like that. Those are things that are being pulled from your organizational profile. So really what you'll be doing is clicking on the review button, looking at the information, and confirming that it's accurate. If any changes need to be made, you can click an edit button, and it'll give you the opportunity to go to your org profile and update information. As I mentioned, there's a review button for each section. So you can work your way top to bottom. You can start wherever you want, come back. It's really up to you how you want to tackle your application. Let's take a closer look at the Pathways and Stars section of the application, because there's some nuances there that we should discuss. So when we open up the Pathways and Stars option, this is where you're identifying kind of what your intention is around your designation you're trying to apply for, and what pathway you're going to be taking to get there. So this language likely looks very familiar to you, because this is the language you're used to in your current system. So are you trying to move in, move up, maintain, bump down, or complete an annual review? Sonia, with her program of Child's View, she's trying to move in. It's been a while since she's had a designation. So now down here, the second part is really talking about pathways. So the question is asking, are you seeking designation for your program through an OCDL approved alternate pathway? If the answer is no, then you're going through the regular pathway to designation, and you'll want to indicate which star level, 2, 3, or 4, that you think you might want to be aiming for in this designation. But what if you are trying to go through the approved alternate pathway? Let's take a closer look at what that looks like. All right, so same questions, but we're seeing more information. So let's talk about that. So in this situation, the program is trying to move up, and they are trying to use the alternate pathway to designation. So this program, Sonia's program, happens to have dual accreditation. There's a list that OCDL has approved for alternate pathways, and I'm sure you are familiar with that. Within your organizational profile, if you have accreditations, current accreditations, you will provide that information in your organizational profile that will get reviewed and verified either by staff at the PAP or by your quality coach and ELRC staff. Once your accreditation is attached to your organizational profile, they will populate as options here. So for example, Sonia's program has both a National Association for the Education of Young Children accreditation and a National Association for Family Child Care accreditation. Whatever verified accreditations are in your organizational profile will show up here for you to select from. If you have an accreditation that you don't see listed here, no worries. It's in the system. It just isn't one that Sonia happened to report for her organization. So what Sonia has decided is she's saying, yes, I would like to go through the alternate pathway, and yes, I'd like to do it using my National Association for Family Child Care accreditation. When Sonia clicks on that button, you can see a little summary of information comes up that shows what the accreditation is, the accreditation number, if it's verified or self-reported, and the effective date and expiration dates. You can also see that Sonia uploaded a copy of the accreditation certificate and the date that it was uploaded on. Once we see all green indicators here in the application, you're ready to submit. The Submit Application button will become blue, which is, again, the visual cue that it's an active live button that you can go ahead and submit. So let's pretend that Sonia hits Submit Application. After she hits Submit Application, the attestation will pop up. You are all likely familiar with this language because it's the same language that's been in the attestation to date. All you'll need to do is electronically sign off your acknowledgement and agreement by clicking the box and hitting Continue. Once you do that, your application will be submitted. It is really important in the system that we try to make things as clear, easy, and transparent as possible. So you'll always get confirmation notices and next steps. For example, when Sonia agreed to the attestation, this message, application submitted, pops up on the screen. It confirms that your Keystone STARS application has been successfully submitted, and you'll be notified once your application has been reviewed. Meanwhile, back in the organization profile, there's now this handy dandy little, we kind of call it a card is the best way I can think of it, almost like a business card. That is a great way for you to track where you are in the process and what next steps you might need to take. So for example, next steps are your application for Keystone STARS has been accepted. You can now access the STARS quality indicators on your program's quality dashboard. This makes sense because we can see that the status is in pre-designation, meaning it's time for you to be able to partner with your quality coach to identify evidence to submit for your indicators. According to the next steps, you can now access your indicators on your quality dashboard. But what is a case? We heard the terminology case in the other screen and in the next step. So what is that? Anywhere where you see the word case in the system, there's a little question hover over that you can click on that will give you this description of a case. A case is really just the term used in this system to describe a series of related activities that are tied together. So for example, all the activities you do in the system to earn a Keystone STARS designation are part of a Keystone STARS case. It's just a way to refer to all the activities that you'll be doing to the same end goal. All right, so now you're in pre-designation. You go back to your quality dashboard. This should look familiar, right? Shows a child's view, and here's your new Keystone STARS case. And look, sure enough, you're in pre-designation, and there's this blue button that looks active that says STARS Quality Indicators. That's the button you'll press to access your quality indicators. Right underneath, though, you'll notice there's also a blue button that says Review Application. As I mentioned before, it's really important that we keep transparency as a priority in this system. So at any time, you can check out a read-only version of the information you submitted in your application by clicking on the Review Application button. We always want you to be able to refer to any information that you've provided all on your own in your org profile. All right, so let's pretend that Sonia goes ahead and clicks on STARS Quality Indicators. What happens next? All right, so Sonia will be taken to a screen that shows all the STARS quality indicators. But what do indicators actually look like? I pulled out this indicator to take a peek at because it shows many elements all in one place. So let's get acquainted with the indicators. So for example, we know that this is LN 3.4.5, you are already likely familiar with. And we know that this is a 3-star, 3 and 4-star indicator, and it's worth up to 3 points. Every indicator in the system that you run into will have the same labeling system and will always tell you if it's required, if it's 4 points, and if so, how many, or if it's a bonus indicator. So in this case, this indicator is about employee benefits. In the organizational profile, there is a tab called Program Information that has a whole list of questions for you to answer. One of those questions says, which of the following benefits do you offer your employees? And there's a list of benefits, and you click all that apply. That information from your organizational profile will get pulled into your indicators as a report. You see this Review Reports? This is the button that you can click, and you'll be able to look at the report. What does it say? And not only will you be able to use the report, but your quality coach will be able to see that information, as well as designators when it's time for them to do your review. You'll also see that here's a great example where there's a clarification statement for family childcare homes and group childcare homes. This language should look pretty familiar. It comes straight out of the current documents for indicators. We wanted to make sure that we mimicked everything as much as we could to help make things familiar. You'll see there's some options here that there you have reviewed and acknowledged the information in this indicator, or that you're not attempting this indicator. We'll talk more about affirmative confirmation in a moment. There's places to submit evidence in addition to reports. You can see right now no documents have been added, but you can easily upload documents or select files from your document vault. Remember, we highlighted that tab earlier in our time together. So for example, you can choose plus file and upload directly from your computer. Or when you choose existing file, you can select documents that are already stored in your document vault. A great way to think about this is things like family handbooks, staff handbooks, things that you know you use frequently for evidence. There's a section here for you to provide additional comments. We'll take a look at how that can be helpful in a couple slides. But really, any time that there's something that you want or need the quality coach or designator to know about the evidence or context you want to share around what you're submitting for an indicator, this is an open text freeform box. Obviously, clear and concise is going to be best, but please know that this is here so that you can have open communication with quality coaches and designators about the evidence that you're submitting. So let's take a look at a little closer at that document vault option we've been talking about. All right, so when you click on the Document Vault tab in your organizational profile, it gives you the ability to add documents. Document Vault is simply storage for your organization, and you are completely in charge of your document vault. You choose what you want to upload, what you don't want to have there. It's totally just storage for you at the organization profile level. Think of it kind of like a Google Drive or something like that. What's great is if you click that add or choose existing file at the indicator level, you can select as many documents as you want to connect to the same indicator. So maybe there's an indicator where I need to submit one lesson plan for every age group I serve. And I've got a preschool lesson plan and an infant lesson plan here. I'm going to select those both from my document vault and add them to the indicator. As I mentioned before, supporting your evidence with additional comments is really handy. For example, in EC 2.5, which we can see as a required indicator at the 2-star level, This indicator is, kind of about some policies. And so Sonia chose from her document vault to share the family handbook and the staff handbook, and then put some comments down here. Please see page 6 in the family handbook and page 12 in the staff handbook for policies and procedures related to this item. It's very savvy of Sonia to be putting these comments in here, because as a quality coach or a designator, if you are telling the program, meaning you, is telling you, hey, go ahead and go straight to page 6, that's so much easier than having to page through and try to find it on their own. So it will help you get your designation processed faster, because they won't have to be scouring through every page. So sometimes you might need some suggestions for what evidence to submit. At each indicator, there's this little question mark next to the word evidence, and when you click on it, this box pops up that provides possible sources of evidence with examples. So the examples are unique to each indicator. So whatever indicator you click on, you'll get specific examples of potential evidence for that indicator. I know that right now, this information is provided within a document that you can refer to. And one of the goals that I know was key in this project was trying to make the system a one-stop shop for you, so that it was easy enough and centralized enough as a one-stop shop that all your questions would be able to be answered within the system. So hopefully this is helpful to have evidence examples right at each individual level. Again, just like with the application, the visual cues show the process or the progress that you're making through your indicators. So you'll see star 1, star 2, star 3, and 4 indicators. This looks very much like the application format you went through. So as indicators get responded to, they turn green. You can see right now Sonia's completed submitting evidence for star 1 and star 2, and still needs to give star 3 and 4 indicators some more attention. We can see that too because the Submit Stars Quality Indicators button is grayed out, and so Sonia is not able to submit her indicators until everything is green. It's really important that we get affirmative confirmation at each individual indicator. What does that mean? Affirmative confirmation is just a fancy way of saying your quality coaches and your designators want to make sure that you didn't accidentally or inadvertently skip over an indicator. So particularly at the 3 and 4 star level, bonus points are a good example of this, right? If you're choosing not to submit evidence, we want to know that you're intentionally choosing not to do that. So we're going to ask either you've reviewed and acknowledged it, meaning, yep, I'm attempting this, I've submitted evidence, I want to attempt this indicator, or I am not attempting this indicator, so that's why I haven't submitted anything. We want to take all the guesswork out of it for you. All right, here's an example of something we were talking about a little bit earlier, that the data reported in your organizational profile becomes evidence. So earlier we talked about how there's questions in your organizational profile under the Program Information tab. This one's specific to benefit options. So there's a question that asks something to the effect of, check all the benefits that your program offers to employees. And so at Sonia's program, this is a list of all the things that Sonia checked. It's pulling it right from there into the report so that we're not asking you for this information multiple times. All right, here we go again. When you see all green, then the button becomes blue and active, and Sonia is ready to click on it to submit her program's STARS quality indicators. All right. So just as we mentioned before, the system is always going to ask you, are you sure? And the system will also tell you what's next. So when Sonia clicks the Submit Indicators button, this message pops up. Are you sure? By clicking yes, your submission is final and indicators will be view only, meaning you can't make changes any longer. This is going to your quality coach for pre-des review. Once when Sonia clicks, yep, I'm sure I want to submit, she'll get this confirmation message saying, yep, your indicators have been successfully submitted. You'll be able to access a read-only version during this time, and you'll be notified if any further action is needed. So if I'm Sonia and I've now submitted my indicators, I'm going to be curious, what next? Well, good news. Remember, we've got that kind of designation card, the case card, in your organization profile, and the next steps populate. You'll see right here in the case status, remember when Sonia was working on submitting evidence for her indicators, she was in pre-designation. Now she's submitted her indicators and she's in pre-designation review. So she has new next steps information. Let's check it out. So you have submitted your indicators for your quality coach to conduct a pre-designation review. Your quality coach will notify you if additional information is needed. If no additional information is needed, your quality coach will pass your indicators along to be reviewed for designation. All right, so as you're checking out this visual image, now the quality coach is going to be able to look at the evidence that you provided for your indicators. Are you sensing a pattern here, sensing a theme? Visually, again, we want everything to look really similar. So when you submit your indicators and your quality coach is working through the pre-designation review, they're going to be able to look, and you can see the quality coach who's working with Sonia and Sonia's program is in the process of reviewing, kind of doing a pre-screening of the evidence, so to speak. So looks like the quality coach has completed looking at star 1, star 2, and again, the quality coach sees the red visual indicator here. The submit button is grayed out, so we know that this quality coach needs to review some 3 and 4 star stuff. So what does the quality coach review look like? Let's take a peek. So just in the same way that there are many options for you to submit different types of evidence in different ways, the quality coaches also get to take a peek at that and leverage that in different ways as well. So this looks familiar. Everything right here in the center looks exactly like the indicator that you will see when you're submitting the indicator. There's a reports button. There's uploaded evidence and comments options if you submitted any comments. This box over here that says pre-designation at the top, this is twofold. One, it helps serve as a screener as your coach is looking at the evidence to say, oh, I think based on the evidence that this program submitted, my best educated guess is that they're going to meet this at 15 points. I need to be crystal clear that quality coaches and their assessment of evidence has no bearing on what the final designation is. Only designators can assess evidence, assign scores that lead to the actual calculation of your designation. This is really a pre-screening process. And I have an example we'll look at in a little bit to show how it could be helpful in catching something before it goes through to designation. thinking of catching things before they go through to designation, you'll notice that the quality coach has options for, yep, here's the points. Geez, it's not met for some reason. It's not attempted, which you know is an option that you can select. But you'll notice this bottom choice is incomplete. The incomplete cycle is a great way for you to partner with your quality coach to make sure that both you and your quality coach are A, able to see the evidence that you want to submit for every indicator, and B, if an accident happens or if your quality coach identifies like a red flag or something glaring, they can choose the incomplete score option. And after they go through and score all your evidence or that you submitted for your indicators, anything that they mark incomplete is going to bounce back to you so that you can give it the attention that it needs. So it might be providing a new document or more evidence, or maybe they have a clarifying question that they need some help from you to better understand. So it's really this great cycle where you and your quality coach can have open communication about the evidence that you're submitting before it goes to designation. Here's another example of how the comments that you provide can be really helpful. So in this example, Sonia uploaded the staff handbook either directly from her computer or from her document vault. And in the comments, you can see page 12 of the staff handbook. That's what Sonia shared with the quality coach. So over here, the quality coach has looked at it and said, yep, I suspect they're in this 3-point range. And here in pre-designation comments, these are comments that your quality coach is typing in to share with you. You can see it says visible to the program. These are comments that are going to come back to you at the indicator level so that you guys can communicate back and forth. So the quality coach, so Ruth is the quality coach that's working with Sonia. Ruth says back on page 12 of the staff handbook, it says lead teaching staff get 3 hours per month of paid curriculum and lesson planning time. Thanks for providing that evidence to support your efforts on this front. It's just a nice way to be able to share info back and forth. All right, so now that we see all green here, Ruth, the quality coach, has completed the pre-screening or pre-designation. You can see all the visual cues are green and the Submit STARS Quality Indicator button has gone live. Let's say that Ruth and Sonia partnered and worked through incomplete indicators together, as any good program and quality coach would do. They collaborate, they feel good about the evidence and the indicators, and now Ruth, the quality coach, is ready to say, yep, we're going to submit STARS quality indicators for designation. So let's pretend Ruth clicks that box and see what happens. All right, now designation begins. Again, this looks very familiar. This is what the designator now sees. Your indicators are now in the hands of the designator, and your case is in designation. So you can see all red here. The designator needs to go in and start clicking the review button and working through the scoring process. Let's take a peek at what that looks like. So once designation begins, again, this looks very, very similar to what your quality coach will see. However, it's very important to know that once your indicators get to the designator and is in designation, there is no longer an incomplete cycle. The incomplete cycle, or pre-screening of indicators, happens in pre-designation with your quality coach only. Whatever gets submitted for designation to a designator, whatever evidence is provided is what's going to be scored. They're not going to be reaching out and saying, hey, how about some more information about this? Or, hey, what about that? Can you be more clear about that? Or, I'm not finding this in your handbook. Can you help point me in the right direction? Nope, that's what happens between you and the quality coach. So once it gets to designation, whatever you submit is what's going to be scored. Designators have the ability to look at, when they're looking at reports, we wanted to make it as kind of helpful and useful in real life as possible. So when you submit your indicators for pre-designation review, the system will take a snapshot of the report at the time that you submit your indicators. So it's a snapshot in time of when you submitted your indicators that, say, for example, like staff reports, staff qualifications, right? It will show what was true when you submitted. There's also an option to look at a live report. Sometimes time passes and things change between when you submit your indicators and when the designator reviews. So for example, maybe you have some staff turnover, or maybe you were waiting for somebody to complete a STARS 101 and 102 training, and they didn't at the time you submitted, but they do now by the time the designator sees it. That's an example of where there's a benefit to being able to see a snapshot of your report as well as the live report. All right, so we can see here's our good old standby visual cues. The designator has worked their way through each of the indicators and has completed their scoring and review. We know that they're done because we're seeing all the green indicators, and the Submit STARS Quality Indicator button is blue and live. So they're going to go ahead and click that. The system will calculate your rating, and a new designation is issued. You can see in your organizational profile, you'll have details about your rating case. Everywhere in your org profile, you'll see this is your current STAR rating, and it's valid, the date that it's valid through. You can always go see a read-only view of your STARS indicators, that read-only version of your application. There's all sorts of fun information that you can review in your case summary. And worth noting, out of the gate, you will not be using the request appeal feature in the system. That will continue to be done on paper for the time being. But someday the plan is to move toward being able to do appeals in the system so that it's all in one place. All right, so some of the cool information that you can see in your case summary is your details. So you can look at STAR 1, STAR 2, and if you scroll down on the screen, it would keep going for 3 and 4. What you can do is look at a report that shows each of your indicators, what the pre-des assessment with that pre-screening score was recorded as by your quality coach, and what the score was assigned by the designator during the designation process. So it's kind of nice to be able to do a comparison, and so that you know what you got scored on each indicator. All right, we know that the most important thing in the process is communication, particularly between you and your quality coach. So good news for anybody whose inbox seems a little full or overflowing or hard to keep track of everything all in one place. Your quality coach, so in this case, quality coach Ruth, has the ability to put notes in your organization's profile. Your quality coach can attach documents. Your quality coach can email these notes to you. So all the information between you and your quality coach can be captured right in your organizational profile. You don't have to track in different systems between email or maybe some spreadsheets, and then also in the registry. All your communication can happen right here centralized in the new system. So for example, quality coach Ruth looks like trying to plan a pre-designation meeting. So typed up a note. Hey, Sonia, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday. Here are a few items that you can get ready for our meeting. Shared some. And hey, I'm also sending you the document we discussed on our phone call earlier this morning. So this is a great example of being able to communicate, share documents, and make plans all in one place. All right, so you might be curious about, wait a minute, so this all seems great. My designation is good for 3 years, but how are annual renewals going to work? Right now, I think they're also known as paperwork renewals. So we are in the process of tightening everything up and polishing it up, and then we'll be able to share more information with you and some more visual examples with you. But it's important for you to rest easy and know that auto emails will be sent to you at that traditional 90, 60, 30 days from the time that your renewal is due. And the email will remind you and invite you to complete an application for annual renewal. Some of the data, again, will be pre-populated into the application from your org profile, and the rest will just be questions that you answer at the time you submit your application. Completion of your annual renewal is going to be documented in your org profile in the registry by the quality coach. And like I said, we're still working on polishing it up for you. So details to come, stay tuned.